The Day of the Dead is one of the most distinctive celebrations of the Mexican tradition, which is dedicated on November 1st and November 2nd, not only to those people who are no longer with us on the living realm, but their presence persists in the memory and it is manifested in a mystical way during the celebration of the Day of the Dead. This celebration is also observed in Latin American countries such as Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Guatemala, and Peru. As part of the cultural syncretism of the Europe during the colonization of the Americas, the dates that correspond to the Day of the Dead are part of the religious festivities, being All Saints' Day on November 1st and the Day of the Departed Faithful on November 2nd. These dates are rituals that were created in the 10th century France by the abbot of Cluny. From this ritual also came the idea of creating the offerings that contain objects and relics that belong in life to the people who died, and that has evolved into what today, in the Mexican offering of the Day of the Dead, is a whole feast with food, drinks, music, and everything that characterizes a family reunion with the souls of those who are no longer with us, but once a year, they have the opportunity to return and visit the homes of those who remember and long for them. It is also important to point out that several representative elements of the optics of the decorations of the offerings, like the sugar skulls and the papel picado, also have their origins in different Catholic, Jesuit, and even Roman roots. The connection that exists between this celebration with the colonial and pre-Hispanic context has to do with the veneration of the Aztec people to deities such as Coatlicue, goddess of death and fertility, Mictlantecutli, god of death and lord of the Mictlan, which is the underworld in the Aztec culture. Similarly, a fascination for death is manifested in the veneration and even fearless care of death, along with the 9th month in the Aztec calendar dedicated entirely to the death. There were also the Tzompantli, which are large walls and racks full of human skulls that were openly displayed in the streets of the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan, today Mexico City. Taking those pre-Hispanic roots and merging them with the customs imposed by the colonizers, we have the celebration of the Day of the Dead, which is one of constant change and evolution over time. For instance, a very characteristic visual element such as the image of the Catrina Garbancera, this elegant ladylike sketch of a skeleton with an opulent white hat, was inspired by an illustration by José Guadalupe Posada made between 1910 and 1913, which indicates that her presence in the optics of the celebration of the Day of the Dead is only a century ago. For indigenous communities both in Mexico and in other countries, including the United States, there are other significant elements and specific customs that involve social, religious, and even political activist aspects. While it is a date in which those who have died are remembered, their emotional state is not always of sadness or mourning. It is a full celebration of their lives and of life itself, a reminder that we are here and our existence deserves to be remembered. And as the Catrina shows in that ironic gesture, it is that possessions or social stratum do not matter. We will all end up looking like the Catrina Garbancera when our day to meet in the Mictlan arrives.